He was like, if you leave, you're going to lose your faith, you're going to get divorced, and your kids are going to be on drugs. He literally said that. My name's Angelo. I go by Jello Impact online. I'm 30 years old, and I was in Amway for 8 years.
How old were you when you got into Amway, and what was happening at the time? How did you get recruited into Amway?
I was 21. I was in second going into third year university for business school. I was like on a Tinder date, meeting someone, and I came out of the washroom and there was this guy in a suit, and he was with his brand new iPhone 6, working on his laptop, looking all profesh, and he just looked up at me and smiled. And I had always heard, in university, it's always about networking. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Like, this is stuff I heard in business school and from people giving me advice. And so I was like literally making a habit to meet more people, because I really am an introverted person. I may not come across that way. I trained many years in sales and in network marketing to not be an introverted person, but I really am an introverted person at heart. But I was trying to get out of my shell, and so I started talking to him, and he was like, "Hey, how do you want to live?" was his question.
So, wait. So while you're on a date, he's like,
right before the date. I was like a bit early.
Oh, you were early to the date, so she hadn't shown up yet.
That's right.
And this guy, okay. So all right.
He's staking out. So he's staking out a coffee shop, right? This was one of his spots.
Of course.
Right. So you get networking spots. So he's staking it out here, kind of doing work, but mostly looking for people to recruit.
Yeah, I have a video on my channel about confronting one of those exact people, an Amway recruiter who was just sort of camped in this coffee shop waiting for, coincidentally, the girl in that video was 21 and a student.
I watched that one. Yeah, that's real. That's exactly
so
how you're trained to do it.
But yeah, it's real.
So he's like, how do you want to live? And I'm like, well, I want to have good relationship with somebody one day. I want to do something not negative in the world and make enough money to be, make enough money to not worry about money, basically.
Right.
And he was like, great. And now he was like, well, you know what? Me and my team, we have a vision to train and develop young leaders who want to make an impact and make a difference. And I was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool. And we were talking for a while. And then at the end of the conversation, as I was walking away, he was like, have you ever wanted to do more to work towards those goals or something like that? And I was like, totally. And he was like, because I assumed that he was going to recruit me for this job or whatever, this job or this group or whatever this was. And after we exchanged phone numbers, and then I remember what kind of like stuck with me is at the end, because I'm young, right? At the end, he said God bless in his message when he like texted me. And I remember as like, not a new Christian. I'd been a Christian for a few years, but it was like comforting that I was like, okay, this person, like, he's religious. He's obvious. He's not too sketchy because he's saying God bless. So like,
yeah, okay,
made me feel better. And then he sent me. Sorry, go ahead.
I just think that is funny because you could have said you were a Muslim and he would have texted you Salam Alaikum, he would have adjusted the pitch but go ahead.
Totally. He called himself a Sikh Christian.
A Sikh Christian?
Yeah.
Impossible, but go on.
Yeah. His story is that he was like born and raised Sikh, so he like follows that tradition and stuff, but then when he went through getting clean from drugs and alcohol. When I met him, he was 7 years clean. Now he is however many years, 15 years clean or whatever it is now, because of Jesus or whatever. So he's both.
You didn't feel any like red flags coming up that this random guy is like striking up a conversation with you in like Red Robin or wherever you were?
Yeah, it was just like Blends Coffee. No. He was very, very natural, very conversational. I didn't get red flags until I heard that it was a network marketing business 4 meetings later, when we were actually like in a meeting. We talked back and forth over text a short bit, and he sent me like a TED talk by Simon Sinek about find your why and whatever, and how great leaders inspire action. Which again, I'm 21. I've never seen anything like this. I was like, holy, that's actually really impactful. And I still think it is like that. That's a really, I think a pretty valuable piece of information to understand and apply to your understanding of how businesses function, how people function. I think it's a very valuable thing. So, receiving that, obviously my trust for him increases. He gives me a call, we meet up for coffee. He asked me basically talk about goals and dreams. That's their first. They talk about this group that they have, and this guy's very practiced, right? So like obviously I have a little thought at some point during our conversation, hey, what's the company? But he's so practiced that he's already like pre-addressing all of these things,
Right.
so that any like red flags that I might have, he's so good. Like this guy is awesome at this. And not only that, he believes he's doing a great thing. Like I've known this guy now for a long time. Right? I've known him for 9 years or whatever, and I believe that he believes that he's doing a great thing.
Of course.
In my opinion, most of these people, they believe that they're doing good work.
Of course.
And that's what makes it so dangerous, is because they believe it so much, they come across as so authentic, and like they're literally doing God's work, literally helping people, making an impact. They believe that they're doing the most important thing. This is a hallmark for cults, right? Is you believe that your mission is God's mission, and that's what makes it so hard to leave. There's so many things in that, right?
Yeah. Nobody wakes up and at the end of the day, after meeting someone, goes, I joined a cult today. Everybody thinks that they're joining some sort of like humanitarian effort or charity or church group or volunteer group or something of that nature. Nobody, I mean, that's why they're called cults, and that's why they're so insidious, because you don't even realize that you're in one,
Yeah, 100%.
I think also that guy asking you that good question about what do you want your life to look like is one of the many examples of how people in MLMs give you a crumb of truth to get you to walk down this path, and then they slowly start distorting the truth until they're
100%.
outright lying, until they're outright messing with reality. And I think
that's what my wife and I found as we got more and more in, is like at some point, because we said how we wanted to live, but at some point they try, especially when they get you to a big conference, they try and redefine your goals at that point. So it's like, it starts off, how do you want to live? What kind of life do you want to create for yourself? Life of freedom, blah, blah, blah. And then they redefine freedom as being an Amway diamond as ultimate freedom, which is not freedom at all, right? As an Amway diamond, you may not make as well. You may make the money. Let's say you do make the money. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, it's only a tiny infinitesimal percent of people that do that, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they do make the money. They're still a slave to this system where they have to do all these meetings and be an example of doing new recruits and modeling new recruits and all of this different stuff, because they say it's freedom and they say it's passive. At least when I got in, they were still saying it's passive income, right? The FTC has come down on that now, right, over the years. But when I got in, it was passive income. It was you build it once and then you're have passive income forever. That's what happened when I got in. They redefined that a couple years in, and they spun it, and I still wasn't wise enough to perceive it. But but as you get in, they redefine what your goals are to be an Amway diamond, to be Crown Ambassador, to be whatever their monikers are. And they give you, they like, oh, you don't like, I wrote like, I want to be like the Pokemon card world champion if I had $1 million, whatever. If I had $100 million, he said that was the assignment or whatever. And I was like, one of the things I'd do is like go hard in competitive Pokemon. And he was like, you don't really want to do that. Like you'll grow out of that. And like, it's always like planting it right from the beginning, replacing your dreams with the Amway approved dreams.
Which is just Amway, of course.
Yes. Eventually the dream is to just become an Amway diamond, and that's what you want to do, because you just want to help people become Amway. I mean, of course, you're going to have a nice life as well, but the true dream eventually that they redefine for you is the dream of being that. Yeah. And it worked on me. It didn't work as well on my wife. She still retained her own dreams, but for me, I'm the type of person that gets like, obsessed with something or like super hyper focused onto something, and it got into me.
Yeah, this reminds me of this one guy from Edmonton. He's a World Financial Group high up
Hmm.
guy, Greg Stranadka, putting your name out there once again because people who come across this or know that name should know what this guy is up to. But in my WFG Part 3 video, during a Zoom meeting that I like spied on for World Financial Group, Greg asks this question: have you ever interviewed your future? That's how he talks. And
Hmm.
it's a good question, right? Like, ask
Totally.
yourself, where are the people who work in your field? Where are they
Hmm.
going to end up?
Totally.
You know, how will you be? What's the ladder of success look like in whatever the system is that you're in at your job or your company or whatever it is? And this seems very
Great question.
reasonable. Seems like a great question, but of course, this is just the question that opens the door to fear mongering so that he can then tell you about how you're never going to be able to be the CEO. You're never going to be able to climb the ranks. They're probably going to fire you. If there's another lockdown, you're probably going to get laid off, on and on and on. And they instill all these fears and induce all these fears in you so that they make it seem in your mind one by one, they check off the list of things that you can do until the thing they want
The
you to
only
do.
option that remains.
Yeah, it's the only thing that's left. And I mean, you just sort of talked about that, how they did that with Amway. It's like the dream is to
Yeah.
be a diamond. Well, fun fact, whether you said you wanted to be a painter or a songwriter or an architect or a real estate developer, they would have told you the way to do that is by being an Amway diamond. At which point,
Yep.
when you're an Amway diamond, there is really no need to do any of that. As a matter of fact, there's
Right.
all these reasons why that thing is so bad and dangerous and risky, and it's a complete control mechanism. It's yeah.
100%. And I found one of the most insidious parts as well of this onboarding process was the personal growth aspect. So they would start off with like, how do you want to live? And then the way to get there is to better yourself and improve yourself and grow yourself.
Yeah.
And what they say is that they want to help you grow in every area of life. It sounds great. We want to help you in every area of your life. Awesome. But the sneaky part is that they don't want to help you in every area of life. They want to control every area of your life. And so by getting you to open up with your goals and your dreams and all of the things you want to do, they not only redefine your financial future and your financial goals or your job goals as being an Amway Diamond, every area of your life is tied to being an Amway Diamond then. Is being the best father, is being an Amway Diamond, being the best husband, being the best any healthy person, being anything you want to do. They tie every single part of it back. This was like when I was starting to like pick up on some red flags. I was getting older and wiser, like in the last year or two I was in. But I remember one time he said, "We want to help people, take on worldwide dream builders as an identity, right? Like, I am a worldwide dream builder," which was the training organization that is the biggest with Amway. And I just remember that being like, making it your identity just sounds so that like sounds like so scary. Like, I feel like that was a not very well hidden thing. It's like, we want you to change who you fundamentally are to identify with this group, which is another obviously fundamentally cult tactic.
Yeah, two things I want to say about that. One, when they talk about helping you improve, they call it self-development, helping you
Yeah.
improve, and they talk about doing this in every aspect of your life. Well, that sounds good. Again, but what you come to quickly find out is a big part of that self-development is removing things that don't align with that, i.e., removing people who don't align with Amway. This means your friends who didn't want to join your team, your parents who might not be supportive of it or who say it's this or that, and on and on and on until they get you completely isolated. Again, it's a cult control method. The second thing I
Hmm.
want to say is you talked about the word help. They would use the word help, but actually what they meant was control. This is such a great example of doublespeak. And I'm
Hmm.
going to dunk on World Financial Group again. You can see this documented in my videos about World Financial Group. I'm saying that to the audience more so
Yeah,
than to you.
totally.
But in those videos, you see them say, don't tell anyone we're selling insurance because we don't sell insurance. No one wants to buy anything. You don't want to come off like a salesman. What we do is we help families. Well,
Yeah.
how do they help families? By selling insurance. And how does that help a family? Well, because if somebody dies, they have the life insurance and whatever. And it's like it's just
Totally.
such a greasy and subversive way of pushing your agenda. And it's like, even if you are trying to sell me, like, at least be forthcoming about it. Ask me if I'm
Sure.
even in the market to buy this thing that you want. And then, of course, it's even worse than that because they're not so much interested in just selling insurance. They want you to buy insurance and sign up to join the company and then recruit other people to buy, and on and on and on. So, yeah, it's
Yeah. To piggyback off of those is, I think, so the first thing you said,
cut off people.
cut off people, right? So I wrote people, and that wasn't enough to jerk to jerk my memory, but cutting off people. So they're very. That was something I was looking out for. So like I was aware that a cult or like a sketchy organization would want me to cut out people from my life. So I was looking out for them to say stuff like that as like a red flag. Like I remember one time I went to one of these big things and they talked about how they're not a cult. And so I hadn't even considered that they might be a cult. So when I went home, I was researching if they were a cult or not. I turned to my girlfriend at the time and I was like, I'm trying to figure out if this is a cult. And she was like, I'm sure it's fine. And I was like, you're right. I'm sure it's fine. So
Yeah, I mean, if
um,
you even have to ask, I think if it's a cult, I mean, that's probably a
it's a yeah, that's a big red flag if you have
of
to
course.
ask. And but for cutting off people, they didn't say that when I was in. They said, you got to listen to. It was the fruit on the tree principle is how they got to this. So if you want to become a blueberry farmer, you go to someone who has a great blueberry farm and you learn from them and on how to farm. You don't go to apple tree farmer, and especially don't go to meat butcher, and especially don't go to a doctor to learn how to make blueberries. So if you want to have a successful life in all areas of life, and this is again helping you succeed in all areas of life, it's you want to find people that are successful in all areas of life. So they wouldn't tell you to cut people out who are not doing that. They would tell you, and they kind of did later on as you got more into it, but especially in the early phases, they would say you want to get your wisdom from those people. You want to get your life advice from those people. You want to follow the direction from those people. You don't want to because they want you to recruit your friends and family as well. So they don't want you to fully cut them off anyways. But they would say, who are you spending time with, right? Success is the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you're spending too much time, it's not that you shouldn't have other friends. Of course you should have other friends, they would say, right? Of course you should still spend time with your family. Of course. Obviously, we're not saying that. But if you're spending too much time with those friends, where are they taking you? They're taking you to where they are. So if you want to improve your life, you have to improve your life and go with people who are successful.
I wouldn't disagree with the premise of
Totally.
being influenced by the 5 people you spend the most time around or whatever if you want to become
Totally.
a great basketball player, learn from a great basketball player. However, these things only remain true so long as the person who's saying them has an agenda that's genuine and honest. If somebody who's running a scam and they've become successful off of running a scam tells you, oh, look, I have a lot of money, just do what I do, or just trust me like all these other people have. Well, it depends on them being truthful. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, in MLM companies, even the people who do think they are being truthful actually are
Yeah.
not
It's
being
fundamentally a
truthful.
scam.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it is because you're going to hear this and think, oh, yeah, that sounds reasonable. If I want to make a lot of money, I should learn from someone making a lot of money. But drug dealers make a lot of money. Criminals of all kinds make a lot of money. Does that
Yeah.
mean you should do those things? Well, by that
Yeah.
logic, yes,
This
you
happens
should.
to be approved. It's a government approved scam.
Yeah, unfortunately, government approved, government corruption, government lobbying paid for. I always think about this. How many like pre anti MLM creators were there and how many videos were there and great documentaries and exposés and video essays that just aren't there anymore. How many creators were there that just disappeared because
Totally.
back then when there was less of them, it would have been even easier to pick them off with selective
Yeah.
lawfare and harassment.
Sure.
And I speak from experience when I say that that's these companies engage in that to a level you wouldn't believe for a YouTuber of a relatively small size. And
Yeah,
it's
while I
all
was in, they had an agenda on cracking down on the misinformation on the internet, like articles and stuff like that, and optimizing their search engine stuff so the positive stuff came up first, and so that you could search Amway and not have Scamway be your first results. Like they worked and put a lot of money into that while I was in. That was a big conversation topic.
again,
Yeah,
doublespeak. They're saying the opposite of what is true. They're calling
yeah,
truthful information misinformation, and
yeah,
misinformation truthful information. It's a
yeah,
complete upside down 1984
yeah.
world, you know?
I love that you talked about the big lie because it's the big lie. You know, it's started by Hitler and all that stuff. You can look it up, but the big lie in the Amway sense that they sold to us was that it is the greatest business opportunity in the world. Because if someone says and they seem genuine, they are confident and they are genuine, they do believe this, and they say that they're trying to change the world. And they say not just it's a good business, not just it's a solid business where you can make some extra cash. It is the greatest business opportunity in the world and the greatest personal growth organization in the entire world. And they say it with such confidence and conviction. They're like, and they seem like such a good person. They're like, holy crap. And then your friend tells you it's a scam. And it's like, how do these reconcile in your brain? One says scam, one says greatest business opportunity in the entire world. Your mind, it's like the middle ground fallacy, right? And then you go like, okay, well, maybe it's not like the greatest business in the world, but at least it's not going to be a scam. Like it's going to be at least decent. Like someone wouldn't lie about that so to such a degree.
Yeah, I think I'm not a religious person, but isn't there something in the Bible about in the end times good will be evil and evil will be good, something like that?
Totally.
Yeah, you
Totally.
you have
I'm a
to.
I'm a I'm no longer a religious person
Okay.
after not just because of this experience, but it's sort of and again, I think that if there's Christians and other religious people watching, I don't do this to offend or say you should change or anything like that. It's just my personal perspective and my personal story, and I think that there are some great things in those. Like I have lots of my friends are still seriously Christian, and I think a lot of them are better in most ways because of it. But I found that once I got out of that, I was like, oh, I just want to make sure I'm not being having the wool pulled over my eyes in any other areas. And for me personally, like my perception, like, and you can cut this out if you want to, but for me and my perception was holy book from God. Also, like if we have no evidence, that feels like a big lie as well. But it's not that you can't have good things come from religion and stuff like that, but I think fundamentally, if you look at it, it is an end times cult, right? And then
Yes.
now there's a lot of churches that are not as cult like. I think personally, cult is a spectrum. I don't think something's either cult or not cult, right? I think cult is like there's varying degrees and characteristics, and MLM is like pretty far over for a lot of MLMs. Like it's pretty on the side of cult. You don't give up your personal belongings. You don't like there's not that's not like all the way over. Like you don't like join like and give all your money to your upline,
Well,
hopefully. But you don't like sign like not have a house and like sign everything away and like some like there's a
right.
cult where I live that's actually like that. But and in church it's like even less, right? It's like less than MLM most churches. So I don't think it's like as harmful, but I still think fundamentally all of those pieces are there. The singing, the groupthink, the 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 higher power. I think a higher power is so effective at manipulating people because if you can convince someone that there is something so important that you can't even access, like physically, and something more important than your family, something more important than your future, something more important than your finances, something so important that it transcends everything we know, that it's so important, then you're essentially willing to give up everything for that higher power because it's deemed so important. If they can convince you of that, and that's why I think that MLMs use the religious angle so effectively is because it's one of the ways to override your
Of
cognitive
course.
faculties by appealing to a supernatural.
It's also helpful because, as you've pointed out, in religion, whatever your religion is, you're operating at least partially on faith. Well, what is
Mhm.
faith? Faith means you believe something or you're trusting in a certain notion without evidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're
They
keeping it,
always said in MLM, this business is built on belief.
so if you're already recruiting somebody who lives a large part of their life or bases a large part of their identity and their ethics and their values in something where you need to just believe, well, then
Mhm.
it's all the easier to get them to just believe this.
Yeah.
You already just believe that.
Yeah.
I will say, though, as a credit to people of all religions that I can't give to MLM is like you, I know religious people who are great people, and
Yeah.
their faith is perhaps a guiding set of values and
Yeah.
structure in their life that
100%.
has added to their life and made them a better
100%.
person. When it comes to
Yeah.
MLM, there that's just simply not true in my opinion. That's my opinion. No defamation lawsuit here. That's just my opinion. You're not going to become a fundamentally better person. You're not going to become someone who seeks to actually help people and treat people better. What you're going to do is become a manipulator and a scammer who thinks that what they're doing is helping because you've been so brainwashed and so indoctrinated with this neurolinguistic programming that you actually think that to scam means the word help.
Yeah. I know we've said that MLMing is objectively a scam, and this is where I want to just like give a bit of a definition as to why I personally think that and why I think that MLM is fundamentally a scam and not just like some MLMs are a scam or this and that. Because they always said when I was in, the real opportunity is to build a business, right? Yeah, we're selling products, but the real opportunity, yeah, to build a business. Because you know, you're not going to get rich selling soap and overpriced energy bars and pretty good vitamins that are usually overpriced and actually good cleaning products that are just legitimately quite good. But you're not going to get rich off of these things, just selling these things. The real opportunity is to help people grow. The real opportunity is to build the business. The problem is the value never materializes because if the real opportunity is building the business, that means it's recruiting people. Well, what's their opportunity? It's to build the business, which is recruiting people. What's their opportunity to build? So the value of the business never actually materializes at any specific point. It's just an endless chain of recruiting more people. Even
Yes.
though, of course, you don't make money from recruiting people. You make money from selling products. You make money from your downline selling products. You only make money when products is moved. True. You technically don't make any money from recruiting people. True. But it's fundamentally based on recruiting people. That is the fundamental business. If all of a sudden it changed, I think that to stay legal, it probably will have to switch more into actual direct selling to stay legal because that started to happen towards the end. I hope. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I mean, even with what you described there, you're accurate about it. I also want to say, going back a moment, I agree
Yeah.
with you about the cult thing being a spectrum. Like Steve Hassan talks about that in his books about cults, and in the interview I did with him, he talks about this influence continuum of a spectrum of people, a spectrum of behaviors and influences that are healthy and positive
Mhm.
versus authoritarian and destructive and controlling.
That's right.
That being said, officially, when these companies, if they ever come under scrutiny or a complaint is filed against them or some FTC lawsuit is filed, they will be so quick to say,
Mm.
oh, we're all about selling products. We have customers who love our
Yep.
products. And yeah, some of our distributors buy our products, and that's because they love it because we have such great
Yep.
products. But as you said, behind closed doors, the opportunity is building the business. Even that is layered with deception because those terms, opportunity and build the business, are doublespeak. What does build the business mean? It means recruit. What is the opportunity? Well, it's recruiting people into a mathematically impossible endless chain where if you get five, who get five, who get five, that you can do it on a calculator. That can only be repeated 13 times before you've exceeded the entire population of the earth, which means that even if the
Mm.
cycle has only repeated 5 times or 3 times, the majority of people are still going to be in the bottom layer, which means it's designed, and as you said, it's inherently or fundamentally a scam. Well, it's designed for the vast majority of people to lose so
Yeah.
that some
And
people
so
can make money. I mean, is that not the definition of a scam? And also on top of that, the thing you said about like, yeah, we don't get paid to recruit. Well, sure, technically it's true. You don't get paid to recruit, but when someone joins, they're also buying products or they're buying a starter kit and they're just calling the money that you get a commission. So the way it breaks down is you don't get paid to recruit, but when you recruit, you get paid. It's just,
Yeah.
again, it's more doublespeak. It's just,
Sure.
it's games.
Oh God, one time I went to this this meeting where this guy, and I don't mind calling out this guy's name, but I forget it right now. But regardless, he talked for so long about how your ditto, they called it, and this is the other thing. They have so many words for everything. That's another cult thing. Everything that they talk about is a new word that you have to learn, and that your brain, when it learns too many new words, it can't actually think about the words. You're just learning this new vocabulary, and it's overriding your cognitive faculties. But he kept talking about how your ditto, your monthly payment, not your monthly payment, the products that you buy every month is an investment. And he kept talking about how it's an investment, and how, if you invest in this and that, and it will return this much money. It's such a great return. And he literally was like, oh, you invest this money into your products and you get back 15% because you get the retail to wholesale markup. And it was just like the most horrible asinine thing that I've ever heard in my life. And I knew when I was listening to him that this was completely wrong. And I went to my upline and I was like, this, again, upline, fancy word, I was like, this is totally wrong. Like, this is not, like, this is just weird. Like, this isn't right. This is like, there's something wrong with this. And he was like, I don't know, you're kind of right. Like, talk to like this upline. So I went up the chain. I talked to him, and he it really threw me off because we're all about personal growth, right? That's what we're talking about, and improving yourself and like all this thing. And so when I told him this, like, he took like such offense to it, and he got his back up so much. And like, normally he's like this personal growth, like fun guy dude. And all of a sudden his like demeanor totally changed. And he's like, you're just reading into it too much. Like, it's just like a metaphor, and it's just like taking it way too seriously and all this, and just totally brushing it aside. And this is another thing that they do, is that the way that they address any criticism you have is it's your mindset is wrong.
Yeah, they just bully you, and the mask falls off, and it's so jarring. I mean, it's literally like an abusive relationship where it's like this push-pull, love bombing 1 minute, and then
Yep.
the mask falls, and it's like they make you gaslight you. You're an idiot, or you just didn't
Yep.
get it. Oh, it's just a metaphor, or your mindset, and on and on and on. It's like, it's just
Yep.
straight up bullying, in my opinion.
Yeah. And because if you explain that the business is not about really selling products to them, they're like, yeah, but we do sell products. That's they'll switch all the way back. Yeah, the products are fundamental. And it's like, well, if the products are fundamental, then why are you recruiting? Like you said it in some of your videos. Why are you recruiting your competition? Because if the products are so good and it's really about the products, like that, like, because that's what to me makes it a scam, right? Is that you can't have it both ways. It can't both be it's all about the products and the real business is building the business and getting other people into the business. You can't is it about the products? Because then you're recruiting your competition. Or is it really about recruiting? In which case that there's no fundamental actualization of value. It's just pushing it down the chain. It's an endless chain scam now.
Yes,
So
well, there's a term called layering, and it's a money laundering term, and it basically means something in the middle, a buffer, if you will, between
mm,
the ill-gotten gains and how it shows
the
up on paper.
laundromat.
Yeah, and that's what the product in any MLM, in my opinion, is.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
is there because it is the layer
Mhm.
between you
Yeah.
getting paid to recruit, aka
Totally.
a Ponzi scheme or a pyramid
Yeah.
scheme. That's why I call it
No,
a Ponzi scheme with extra steps.
totally.
That also plays into the products themselves. I mean, if the products were so great, think about any MLM product you can think of. What is it? Protein powder, essential oils, leggings. Like, these are essentially worthless products, dare I say. Products that can be manufactured in bulk very cheaply, or just straight up like white labeled, where you
Sure.
order them in bulk from a factory and slap your own label on it, and it's the same. There's a term called parody products, not parody, but parity, and it's
Mm,
basically like
right.
products that could be swapped out for an essentially equivalent same thing. Like think Advil versus the off-brand, just acetaminophen, whatever it is, Walmart brand.
Let's imagine like Amway's product was actually good and unique and like actually worth getting, which I do think maybe 15% of them are, right? As someone who's used a lot of them. But the problem is that it's still fundamentally a scam. So whether they are, I think that like it's a good like red flag to recognize that a lot of the products are, like you said, just like parody products, like you said.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it a scam or not, in my
Yes,
opinion.
no,
Like
no,
there's
no.
lots of like mid products out there, and there's could be MLM products that are great, but it's still a scam regardless.
Yeah, you're right. The products are completely inconsequential. I just bring it up to highlight the point that literally every element of MLM that you actually think critically about shows the nonsense that the whole thing
Totally.
is. You want to talk about the
Totally.
products? Okay, here's why the product thing doesn't make any sense. You want to talk about the recruiting or building a team? Here's why that doesn't make any sense. You're recruiting your own
Totally.
competitors, etc. On and on and on. Like literally every element of any MLM that you actually like look into, it's all a scam. It's all
Totally.
a deception. And as you said, this is something that is very interesting for me to hear because I don't think this vocabulary thing is as prevalent in other MLMs I've looked into,
Mm.
where you're talking about like dittos and like they have this whole vocabulary in Amway that is unique. Yeah, this is
Hmm.
like, in GTA 5 when there's the mission where you play as Michael and you join like it's like a knockoff of Scientology and you're walking
Okay.
around and you're like Kiflam brother or whatever, and it's like they have these little rituals that they say. It's
Yeah.
like that's what it reminds
Yeah.
me of when I hear this shit.
It
It's
is like
so
that.
creepy.
It is. It is. And they tell you not to use not to use too many of those new words when like a new recruit comes to a meeting or something because it'll freak them out or whatever. I also want to touch on another way that the products aspect is a scam because again, I think it's a weak point to go after the products as being good quality or not good quality. Obviously, if they're good quality or not, that's its own problem, but I think it's not attached to MLM. But one thing that is a problem is the reason why people generally buy products is not because they're good products, even if they are. Like the reason why they buy products is because, at least for me, it was this metaphor that they teach you. It's like if you own a Ford dealership, you don't drive a Chevrolet, right? Because what are you gonna do? Drive up to if you're working McDonald's, you're not gonna go for lunch at A&W and come back to and eat an A&W burger as the owner in your own business. And of course, it's true, right? You wouldn't do that. But this is the ruse that they do to get you to buy all your own products. And this is, I think, like the final nail in the coffin for me as to what makes it fundamentally a scam is because the ultimate goal for Amway is just to move product. They don't care if you have customers or if you buy it yourself. As long as they move product, they make money. So if you're your own best customer, which is what they teach you, is to be your own best customer, then you will go and just replace all of your products with Amway products. And that's what you can clearly see. You look on Amway, every single replaceable product that you could use pretty much is an Amway product. And of course there's no Whole Foods. Of course there's no like apples and stuff that you'd actually want to buy or like stuff they actually need to buy. It's just like all like convenience products that can have the markup because of convenience, except they're not actually convenient because you had to buy the freaking thing in bulk. So you're buying convenience pack of chips at not a bulk price and just anyways, you just convert your whole household to Amway, and that is their game. And so this is where they pretend that you're a business owner when really you're just a very loyal customer. And you think you're a business owner and that's why you're loyal and buying your products, but actually you're just a customer because at the end of the day, you're losing money from buying generally expensive, overpriced products, or even if they're not, just buying from them when you really shouldn't be, or buying more than you really should be. Like even if you're buying everything from Walmart just because you thought you should, that's still like scammy. Like that's because you thought you had a stake in Walmart when really you don't.
That's something I wish more people would see is that if you buy products from insert MLM or it's a starter kit or it's a monthly reorder or whatever, how would the company know whether those products sat on a shelf in your house or you sold them? They don't have that data. And if they don't have that sales data, which is fundamental for any true sales organization to know. If you don't know that data, how do you know what your demographic of customers is, what your most popular product is, when you should adjust pricing, packaging, etc.? You don't know. So that's a clear indicator that, well, then I guess the money's coming from somewhere else. And as you pointed out, yes, it's coming from you, the distributor, another doublespeak term where they're calling the thing the opposite of what it is. You're not distributing anything. You're the customer. You are buying it.
Yeah.
They are the distributor.
Yeah, they don't even use distributor anymore because you literally aren't a distributor anymore. Now you're just an IBO, independent business owner, which again is still doublespeak because you're not a business owner. When I got in, they pitched it to me as if you were a business owner, right? You're an independent business owner. This is your business. You can sell it. You can will it to your kids. It's you. They can't change the deal. They literally said they can't change the deal without the approval of you and the other business owners, right? Your
Lie.
whatever change, which is a lie because they did change it later. Right when I was figuring out, it was like during COVID, later part of COVID, I was figuring out and I was figuring it all out finally, like mentally. They made a change, the FTC, when what's that other one that went on that went under that
Vima?
didn't quite go up? It didn't know. It was one of the bigger ones. The health one that was like, I think it was Herbalife, right?
They just paid a huge settlement.
Yeah. So it was at that time.
Okay.
It was at that time when that settlement happened, and they were found to be
not to be a pyramid, is what Edith Ramirez, the FTC chairwoman, said.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fuck me. But when that went down, Amway got scared. And so they started changing everything about what we were and weren't allowed to do. Previously, we were encouraged and instructed to post tons of pictures about fancy cars and dream building and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, none of it was allowed. A bit later, they hinted towards the leaders, which I was kind of not a leader, but I was getting a bit bigger. So I was at some of these higher up meetings, and they were like, there's going to be a thing where it's going to be more product focused. And then sure enough, later on, it's becoming more product focused. And then they switched. So previously, to legitimize your business, they even said that, to legitimize your business, you need to have 50 PV, again, more words, 50 points, which is this asinine conversion between points and money. And then there's PV, BV, and dollar value, retail and wholesale. And this just reminds me, okay, I cover gacha games for a living, like a gacha game for a living, which is like, that this is one of the things that they do to trick people, right? Is to have all these different currencies and you convert them around so people don't really know
it's impossible
what's really going on. Again, obfuscating the truth, and it's definitely a shady practice, right? They're making all these changes. They're saying it's going to be more product focused. It used to be how you have to have 50 PV a month, which is about $150 of retail sales, or 150 to 200 of retail sales to be a legitimate business, right? So you have to have $200 of customer volume a month, and you can buy as much personal volume as you want and be your best customer. And the easiest way to build the business that most people did was you buy as much as you can realistically afford / make sense for your house. It shifted. They completely changed it completely. And they said that instead of that, you have to have only 30% personal use and 70% customer volume. The 70% rule, they called it. So this completely shifted how legitimate people's businesses would be. And they put it out there that people would report their own purchases as customer volume. So currently, to my understanding, mass fraud is taking place across Amway where people are literally lying.
Defamation.
And typing in.
Defamation.
To my knowledge, in my opinion,
defamation.
To my knowledge, people are typing in their mom that's buying all their products when really they are. And they're actually giving, but you have to give a phone number. You have to write the exact products that they're selling. You have to write the exact time and create a full receipt. And I had to do this every month, and the feeling was it just just got worse and worse, right? Because you're just literally just lying. But the way that they spin it, so something, they would spin it. I can't even repeat how asinine it was.
I'm sorry to tell you, it's not a bombshell to me because this is a well-documented phenomenon in MLMs that I've heard from many people before. And I even think, if I recall correctly, in the LuLaRoe documentary on Amazon Prime, LuLaRich,
Yeah, I
the
watched that one.
docuseries, they talk about making these fake accounts, or sometimes they call it ghost accounts, where it's like it's somebody's dog is like a distributor in the company. And I've made fun of this before with an MLM I was going real hard on in 2021. I was making like fake little rank posters for like a dog where it's like the dog reached this rank or whatever. In 2024, it
No.
is ludicrous to suggest that anyone could even forget making a living in this economy, but prosper and make millions of dollars by going out there and trying to get a 10% commission on a granola bar.
Imagine personally trying to sell your friends granola bars.
It's over. That's like literally
That's insane.
social suicide.
That's insane.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, speaking of the money you were spending being your own best customer, do you have an idea of how much you spent in the total time in
Yeah, I wrote it
Amway?
down.
You do. Okay. Tell us. And also, were you working a job throughout the whole time, or did you go all in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Never. Well, I was all in.
Yeah, but
But
you were
I
still
was
working your JOB.
still working my just over broke.
Journey of the Broke. Yep.
Okay. I estimate that throughout my 8 years in Amway, I spent over $50,000 on training alone.
Oh fuck. Okay.
In addition, I estimate that I spent $40,000 in products that I wouldn't have purchased if I didn't own the business. So I'm being super generous and excluding the products that I would have bought. Right? So whatever amount of percentage that I feel like was true, because this is the pitch, right? It's anyways money. It's money you're going to spend anyways. So I estimate that I would have spent some money on products like that or something, but $40,000 in products that I wouldn't have purchased or money that I wouldn't have spent. So that's $90,000. I do believe that I made around $40,000 throughout my 8 years. So a total net loss of $50,000. In terms of pure monetary value, I will say that does not include opportunity cost because I worked like a freaking dog. I was the hardest worker. I was well known for being. I had a habit streak on my app that over like 2,000 days. Like I was like the guy for working hard. Like sharing a message, another funny term, which is trying to recruit someone every day. Reading the book, their book list book every day. Book list, another term. Listening to their audio program. The audios, listening to Kate, which is their communication program, another weird name. This you pay frickin' $60 a month for a glorified voicemail app.
Like Audible isn't even that much a month.
Holy shit.
Damn. And yeah, not only your opportunity cost, but the cost to your mental health after realizing that you were in a cult, and
the amount
also
of my therapy. I didn't include my therapy bill on here.
and also the social cost of like people who maybe didn't have the heart to say it to your face that like, yeah, we're not gonna fuck with that guy anymore because he's like on this Amway thing.
I'm very fortunate that my friends are understanding, and I went to a bunch of people that I lost touch with and I apologized afterwards, and fortunately I have rekindled friendships, but there's a lot of lost time with these people that I were really important to me and really good friends that fizzled out essentially because of this.
What was the final straw for you that made you like, I'm out?
Yeah. Basically, we had our second kid, and it was like, this has been 8 years of this, and that's basically the kind of, like, they said it's a 5-year plan to financial freedom or diamond and whatever. It's been 8 years, okay? It's supposed to be a 5-year plan. Here we are. They kind of kept moving the goalpost in a lot of ways as to when things were supposed to be happening. But at some point I was like, it's been 8 years. I'm working freaking hard. Like, they would send these messages every Christmas time when they know people who are, evaluating life and like reflecting on the year, and the success books we're reading tell you to do that, is evaluate where you are. And they would say, look back on the year, and yeah, maybe you're not where you want to be, but did you work as hard as you really could have? Right? And that's like the guilt trip, right? Is like, it's your fault if you didn't succeed. And most people are like, yeah, I didn't work as hard as they could have. So they'd send all these reflections, and you're hearing from all these people, oh, I didn't work as hard as I could have, but I'm gonna this year, and all that kind of crap. And every single year, I would just look at that and be like, yeah, actually, I did. I had to take more breaks just because I was getting too burnt out from working so much. So even my breaks were to build the business, so I could come back and build the business, right? Like, that's where I was at mentally. I was that into it. So I was like, after 8 years, I was like, you know what? I'm pretty sure it's just not for me. I didn't fully realize that it was a scam. I was just like, I'm pretty sure it's just like not in my personal wheelhouse. Like, it's not my strength. Like, maybe it's other people's strength, but I've worked hard enough for long enough that if it was this is in my strength, I should have been able to do this. And they always say, treat this like a business, because it is a business, right? So treat it like a business. That I took that to heart. I tried to treat it like a business. But hey, after 8 years, if your business is failing, what do they tell you on Dragons Den if you come out with a failing business after 8 years? You quit the business and you do something else. So that's what I eventually did. And then as I finally took a break, I had a horrible exit with them. They accused me of so many things, and I had a horrible exit that made me realize that it was a cult and that it was a scam. But I exited not knowing it was a scam, and didn't realize until how they treated me afterwards.
What happened?
And I started getting these seeds of doubt when we went to the Double Eagle Club. So this is like, Double Eagle is when you have 12 people underneath you personally, and then maybe they have some people underneath them. This is called Double Eagle. And they always say, you got to be there. It's amazing. It's life-changing. It's blah, blah, blah. And so we went to this Double Eagle Club down in the States, and we traveled and put up our own, on our own Airbnb and all these expenses and whatever. And it was pretty expensive. We paid for a number of our legs to be business owners, right? We fudged it and paid, a few $1,000s to qualify to up our numbers so we could make it, because you got to be there. And when we got there, they were like, you may be feeling out of place because, maybe you aren't getting here as like perfect as you wanted to, or something, which is code for you bought some of your downline legs. And it's like, but that's okay. Most people are here like that. And we're just like, most people are here like that? That's not right. And then they always talked about how upstanding all these people are. And so we end up going golfing with some of these people, and this bigwig's son, who's a bigwig now, but a bigwig's son, he got drunk on the course and rammed his golf cart into another business owner's golf cart. And this guy is the nicest guy ever, salt of the earth. No way he knows he's scamming anybody. Like, he is just like genuine as they come. And the guy who got drunk hit his golf cart, and the guy is trying to gaslight him into thinking that it was his fault. And he's telling him to lie and say that he hit a tree root because his golf cart's all banged up. And we're like, these are the best people in the world? These are the guys that are? And then we hear stories as we're on this trip about people who are sleeping around and all these just like really below board stuff that they're doing. And we're just like, and then we go to this dance party. It's just so fake and so lame. And we get home, and I'm not feeling it at all. And I go and try and talk to my coaches about this, my upline, and they say, it's your attitude, bro. You got to fix your attitude. It's dream attitude, work habit. Fix your attitude. I'm trying to finally share my heart and say that I'm like feeling kind of burnt out and feeling like I don't know if I can go on. And they tell me that, and then Christmas time happens. I'm starting to think I need to do something else. I need to try YouTube. I have a very successful YouTube channel now, and that was the beginnings of that. I was like, I need to try it. I know other people are successful. I need to try that. And then coming into February, I was really feeling burnt out. One day, my motivation was just gone. I felt for many years that I had a calling in my heart that from God, that God wanted me to build this business. And I truly believe that with 100% of my soul, that I believe that God and I was meant to do this business. And all of a sudden it was completely gone. Just absolutely gone. I felt nothing. I would still like network and like meet people, but I literally felt zero. And I woke up and I did Amway stuff in the morning. Then I worked a job I hated doing sales. Then I did more Amway stuff in the afternoon. I had a tiny bit of time with my kids. I made some YouTube videos, and those last two things were the only times where I felt like actually enjoyment out of my life. I hated my life so much that I was in Bible study at the time, and it was like kind of COVID times. And I was like, when people were talking about it's the end of the end times, it's apocalypse, and I was like, ain't no way it's the end times. There have been way worse times than this in history, but if it was the end times, that would be great because heaven sounds a whole lot better than what I'm experiencing right now, which is just not a thought you want to have in a healthy mind. And so I'm trying to figure, and I go to I pour my heart out to my upline. I message them, and I tell them about this, and they're like, you should have told us sooner. And I'm like, I'm telling you now. And they're like, you're getting angry. And I'm like, I mean, I'm getting angry now. Like, and they're like, did you try and recharge? What are you doing to recharge? And I'm like, well, like prayer and like nature. And they're like, oh, are you doing this and that? And I'm like, yeah, I've tried that. It's like, have you really tried though? Have you like opened your mind to being able to be recharged? And I'm like, and then the guy who got me in the platinum, he turns to me and he's like, you know what? You need a break. And I'm like, he's like, when I trust me, I know how you feel. I felt like that before. You need a break. You need to just not do anything for just however long you need. Take it. Cause I could tell he sensed the like the alarm bells. You need to take a break. And I was like, okay, you're right. And then the other person was like, you need to take, his wife was like, you need to take this this amino acid or something. It'll help you with your mood or something like that. And I'm like, okay. And she was like, I'll talk with it and try and figure out where we went wrong with you or something like that. And I was like, that is the weirdest shit to say to somebody, where we went wrong. Like, am I already gone? Am I already in the past? You don't care about this anymore?
Mistake.
Yeah. And I took that break. And for the first time in 7 years or so, maybe 8, I didn't listen to their audio program. I didn't listen to their thing. I didn't try and do anything. I just sat with my thoughts. I left my phone inside and went for a walk. And then that's where the clarity that I need to leave came.
Yeah, he probably realizes that it was a mistake for him to tell you to take a break because part of cult's control is keeping you constantly inundated with cult propaganda and
Right.
like busy work, tasks that you need to do every day. An audio needs to be listened to, a book needs to be read, the message needs to be dropped, a meeting needs to be attended. And when he
shared, you don't drop it. That's gross.
Right.
Share it. It's a gift, Mark.
Right, of course. And so when he told you to take a break, I think he probably realized afterwards that was something he needs to refine, and that actually
wasn't.
He's going to tell people, actually, you need to go deeper. You need to really, really
Totally.
open your mind. There's going to be Amway people watching this video, seething, going, no, it was his fault because despite him being in it 8 years and thinking it was only a 5-year plan, he never quit his job, so he never really went all in, and he had kids before he should have, which took away a lot of his time because everyone knows you shouldn't have a kid until you go diamond, and he stopped being religious, and we're doing God's work, and he turned his back on God, so God probably is punishing him for this too. What do you think?
Isn't that awesome? That fear mongering, that if you leave, you're turning your back on God, because that's what they told me when I started to leave. They said, if you leave, this is what this guy, religious guy, who used to be my favorite because he was so unapologetically Christian. He was like, if you leave, you're going to lose your faith. You're going to get divorced, and your kids are going to be on drugs. He literally said that.
Defamation.
Literally.
He never said that.
Actually, I have so many texts from him.
Oh, okay.
That are all made by myself, obviously. I doctored walls and walls of screenshot text. The amount of spiritual abuse that I got from him about the correct way to interpret the Bible and the correct God's plan, and how I was going against God and I was being spoken to by the devil, and how all of this stuff, it was days of just walls of text screaming capital letters, crazy stuff. He one time he removed me when he figured I was a lost cause. He removed me from the chat group, not removed me, but he started a new chat group with just my wife and started talking to her about how she shouldn't let me leave. And my personal upline, bless his soul, didn't realize what he was doing, and so he added me back into the chat. He was like, "Oh, you forgot to add Angelo to this."
Oh my
one.
God. To any Amway person or MLM associate that's watching this, if you really think that these people are your family, you really think that God put you in the same group as these people, you think these people are there with you, ride or die through anything, and you're going to the top together, just as a prank, just as a social experiment, send a text telling them you're leaving and see where all the stuff that was brother and family yesterday, see how it turns into bullying and ostracizing and shunning, and they'll treat you like a leper, and they'll cast you out like a leper.
I thought they were my real friends. They always talk about real friends and real relationships and how they keep relationships with other people and whatever. And all of a sudden, they're attacking me from every angle.
Yeah.
And 8 years of relatively harmonious mentorship, friendship, right? There were no there were these insidious little things that you don't really think about, like how when you bring up a problem that it's your attitude that's wrong, right? But other than that kind of stuff, they never like told me super weird things, or like they were never like overtly mean or rude, or they sat with us and cried with us and whatever, like they were supposed to be real friends, and this for 8 years, and then all of a sudden, I'm nothing, and all of a sudden, I tried to text them, Marco, afterwards, because I just wanted like a bit of closure. So I was like, because I've been away now, I've been away for a few months, and I was like, hey, I was wondering if you guys wanted to do like an exit interview or something like that, because they're all about personal growth. So I figured surely after 8 years of their number one up and coming guy for basically 8 years, don't they want to hear from me why I left? Because I was like, I met with him one time and I was like, you haven't even, like, we've been talking for like 2 hours, and like all those other times, you haven't once asked me why I want to leave. Not a single time. You didn't even ask me why I want to leave. And I was like, so I messaged them after. I'm like, hey, do you want to do an exit interview or just like chat and talk about things? And then this guy is like, the Christian guy, he's like, what's an exit interview? I've never heard of that. I never exit anything in my life. Blah, 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 commitment, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, you don't even know what an exit interview, like, this is like gaslighting at its finest, right? Doesn't even pretending to not even know what an exit interview is. So they can.
These people will eat each other only once they're done extracting everything they can from you. And I mean, look, the last interview with the Amway couple, 13 years, thinking they were best friends, raising, kids, being friends. In your case, 8 years. It's like, it's so fucking insidious, and it's another sunk cost that makes it difficult to leave. Forget the money you've spent, forget the effort you put in and the time you've spent, the relationships you've built, but also the relationships you've burned in pursuit of this thing, potentially. But then when you try to turn your back, it's like the knives start flying into it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're out now, and it seems that things are going much better for you, and you have a YouTube channel that's going well, and it's amazing.
It's going awesome. Yeah. Life is great.
Yep. And
don't do MLMs, kids. It's bad for your health.
I'll see you in court when you're my co-defendant for defamation after this video
100%.
drops. Yeah.
100%.
Okay, well, I really appreciate you sharing this with me, man. Anything else you wanna add?
I mean, I've got 8 years of stuff. There's more crazy stories, but maybe we'll save it for another day.
Sure. And you want to plug anything, your YouTube or Instagram or something?
My YouTube is it's a Genshin Impact YouTube channel. So if you play Genshin Impact, then go check it out. Otherwise, I'm sure you have no interest in my channel, which is great.
Maybe totally if you weren't playing so much Genshin Impact, you would have become a diamond.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate you sharing this
Yeah.
with me. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Okay, take care.
All right,
Bye
bro.
for now.
Thanks so much. Peace.